Coming up, the latest on a fight between two Perry County brothers that left one dead and the other behind bars. And as COVID-19 cases continue increasing in Kentucky, one local county surpasses 300 cases.
While you may still be seeing some storms now on radar, the sunshine and heat returns this weekend. I'll have the latest forecast. Mountain News at 6 is on the air.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Good evening again. Today we learn more about a fight that led to the death of a Perry County man. Police say it was between two brothers. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
It is a story that has two parts, the initial call and later the investigation. Kentucky State Police first responded to a call of an unconscious man just before 11 Wednesday night. Through their initial investigation, they found brothers Doug and James Noble were in some sort of argument. According to an arrest warrant, James Noble ran over his brother multiple times with an ATV. State police say James then barricaded himself in a house off of 451 in the Krypton community, and that standoff ensued for hours.
They were able to locate that residence, but James Noble refused to communicate with them or come out of the residence, at which time there was a barricade situation that ensued. Kentucky State Police Special Response Team was called out to assist at the scene, and after several hours, James Noble finally exited the residence. He was taken into custody.
State police say that a woman was barricaded inside of that house with James. They say that she is not charged with any crimes and was unharmed. In Perry County, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
James Noble is booked in the Kentucky River Regional Jail in Hazard on one charge of murder.
Storms are getting a bit less in coverage, but they're still hanging around out there in the 6 o'clock hour. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and we see those really still going south of the Hal Rogers Parkway and Highway 80 corridor, mainly down into far southeastern Kentucky and southwest Virginia. But it's been a stormy afternoon. A couple of warnings still going for about another 13 minutes there, including that one over for Lee and Wise counties until 6:15. I actually got one going down out of our area toward Morristown until 6:30, but that's the only warning left, is the one for Lee and Wise counties, which will expire in about, again, 13 minutes or so. Temperatures, you can tell where the rain has worked over the atmosphere, still in the upper 80s to the north, 70s down to the south. When you factor in those dew points, yeah, it's still sticky out there, regardless if you've had rain or not. Instant sweat category or close to it there in most areas. Good tool to track rain and anything else going on this weekend is WYMT weather app. You can download that for free. And again, you'll see those rain chances start to wrap up as we head deeper into the evening. And then maybe some clearing skies as we head into the overnight hours and into the first part of your weekend. I'll have the rest of that forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, thank you, Brandon. COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the state, and Governor Beshear has announced hospitalizations have also increased. In Laurel County, there are now 314 cases and 9 hospitalizations, according to the health department. WYMT's Emily Bennett talked to officials with St. Joseph London about their preparations during this surge.
Laurel County has the most COVID-19 cases in our region, with more than 300. 2/3 of those cases are active. So how are the hospitals preparing during the surge? President of St. Joseph London, John Yanes, says the hospital is continuously prepared and have gone over their surge plan. He says they have 16 ICU beds, 22 progressive care beds, and 20 airborne isolation rooms. And they also have plans of where to put patients if a surge caused them to exceed bed capacity. Yanes did tell me during the beginning of the pandemic, their hospitalizations were elderly, more chronically ill patients who were in the ICU on ventilators. Now they are seeing more patients not needing to be in the ICU.
We have to give this pandemic the attention that it deserves. But as a hospital, we can't feed into the fear and the understandable hysteria that may occur.
Yanes also said at the beginning of the pandemic, people were afraid to come to the hospital, but now they are seeing the volume of patients return to almost pre-pandemic numbers. In London, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
And tonight at 11, Emily will have more on the hospital's preparations. The governor says it is a critical time for Kentucky, and this is why there are 797 new COVID-19 cases tonight. Our total is just below 26,000. Deaths are up to 691 after 7 more were reported today. And the benchmark really to gauge the spread of the virus, the positivity rate for people being tested, moved above 5% today. The governor says he will bring back some restrictions if things do not improve soon. He wants to see how the weekend goes. He did not mention specifics on what those restrictions might be if he has to do that. Another legal battle is looming between Governor Andy Beshear and a lawyer for former Governor Matt Bevin. The latest feud centers on public documents the Beshear administration says are being withheld from the state. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has the latest.
Just before Andy Beshear was inaugurated last December, his administration discovered that records relating to a state contract and investigation were missing. State finance and administration cabinet officials say that a lawyer for former Governor Matt Bevin, Gwendolyn Pinson, is refusing to turn over the documents. Her attorney says she doesn't have to.
The law doesn't allow this type of a subpoena, but even if it did, the information is protected by the attorney-client privilege.
Beshear's team cites multiple rulings, including one with the former governor of Oregon, showing someone's work for the government is property of the government. The alleged missing documents stem from an investigation that started back in April 2016, and we have to go back a couple of years in 2 different time periods. Number one, when Steve Beshear was governor, and then later on when Andy Beshear was attorney general. The investigation started by Bevin alleged corruption on behalf of the Beshears. Beshear cabinet officials claim Bevin's attorney used personal emails and encouraged other staffers to do the same when discussing sensitive matters related to that investigation.
You know, my client acted appropriately in every way, and we will do what the law requires.
But Beshear's staff argues Bevin officials discussed terms of the contract early with one law firm and then may have quote unquote manipulated the scoring to award them the contract. The case includes more than 200 pages of documents, including numerous emails from Bevin attorneys and staffers. The chosen law firm reluctantly gave Beshear's staff their records this past January.
I will say I think it's curious that they're looking into a contract that was appropriately bid and followed the process that actually the results of the investigation led to or did show significant misconduct on the part of the Beshear 1 administration.
The motion cites an email from Bevin's attorney to the investigating law firm giving them a heads up about the status of the bid 10 days before it was opened. Governor Andy Beshear was asked about the case during today's 4 o'clock COVID-19 briefing.
We're not relooking at any investigation, but you got to make sure a contract wasn't fixed. And I mean, there's open records and ethical and other issues if you intentionally create private emails with an outside law firm to communicate.
A Fayette County Circuit judge is being asked to decide the course of the matter. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Governor Beshear's legal team did say they believe Bevin wanted to use the legal process to sway public opinion ahead of the 2016 election when Republicans took control of the state house. A Covington Catholic student says he has settled a $250 million lawsuit with the Washington Post. That suit was filed following this 2019 viral video. It showed Nick Sandman standing face-to-face with Nathan Phillips. Phillips was participating in the Indigenous Peoples March in D.C. The Washington Post lawsuit is one of 8 filed by Sandman. It is not clear how much the newspaper settled for. Sandman also settled with CNN. Officials still need your help identifying human remains in Johnson County. Deputies say a skull was found earlier this month in the White House community. It's awaiting transfer to an anthropologist in Knoxville. Johnson County deputies say if you know anything about this, to give them a call. The search is on for a suspected robber in Clay County. Take a look at your screen. The sheriff's office says they are looking for this man, Robert Gray. He's wanted for a robbery that happened last week at Alvin's on South Highway 421. If you know where he might be, call the sheriff's office. A former deputy jailer in Rockcastle County has been convicted in a federal civil rights case. 25-year-old Derek Stephen Clark was convicted on 2 counts of injuring, oppressing, threatening, and intimidating a victim, and 1 count of making a false entry in a record. It all stemmed from an incident where Clark strapped an inmate to a chair and had others attack him. Clark could face up to 40 years in prison. New at 6, almost 200 employees of a coal company will be laid off. A warn notice was issued today by Cam Mining. The company says 194 employees in Pike County will be laid off. The warn notice comes shortly after another mining company, Rhino Resources, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. A $2.4 million National Dislocated Worker Grant was given to the Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, or EKSEP, in an effort to help Eastern Kentuckians laid off or furloughed due to COVID-19 find job placement or provide training for new jobs. WYMT's Lacey Roberts spoke to the project manager of the new Rework EKY program and has more.
Kentucky has seen record unemployment numbers since March of this year due to the coronavirus pandemic.
When it's something that happens that is beyond your control, I think it probably feels a little worse.
But to ease that burden, EKSEP, or the Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, is here to help. As some would say, comes as no surprise.
EKSEP has a history for that, having a passion for helping people to get that training and get into the workforce. And this program is no different.
The new grant is for the Rework EKY program, helping not only disclosed workers, but also their spouses.
What we want to do is help to support the household,
providing longevity work through partnerships with Teleworks and SOAR.
Training opportunities, job placement services that help to get them re-engaged with the workforce.
And now the University of Cumberland's offering a cyber training program.
People who are interested can actually take 2 critical courses to being certified to actually work in the field.
While other opportunities come in the form of humanitarian work.
So if people, want to get training, but also want to work at the same time, we have opportunities for temporary job placements as well while they're getting their training.
Such as with the health department.
Educating people about how to properly wear masks, taking temperature checks, monitoring, making sure now that everybody's wearing masks when they go into different establishments.
No matter your interest, there is something just for you. Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
In order to register for the program, you can go to the EKSEP website, or you can call Dr. Karen Wright directly at 606-436-5753.
While everyone's looking ahead to the weekend, which is going to be a fairly nice one, we just literally got a new severe thunderstorm warning over into Lee County. We'll break that down for you and track out the rest of those storms here in just a few minutes.
And after a harrowing battle with lung disease, see how the family of one coal miner can now breathe a sigh of relief.